Hello YouTube, welcome back to my channel. So in today's tutorial, we'll continue with our Django API series. So in the last tutorial, we were able to create a simple app using Django. If you haven't watched that tutorial, it's very important that you go back and watch the tutorial and set things out. We have already set up our virtual environment and we have already set up our project application. So if I do an ls, you can see we have that thing there. So I'm in our project directory and my virtual environment is activated. So that make sure that you have those things set up. So first activate your set up your navigate to your virtual environment, and then set up the virtual environment also, and also be in your project directory. So I'm in the root directory right now of my project. Okay, so in this tutorial, what you're going to do is, first of all, you're going to go ahead and actually, you've already created the two apps. So if I just do an ls and then navigate to the CRUD API, so you can see we have an app that called to do list, and it has a database called db.sqlite. Okay, so we have all those things set up. So in this tutorial, this what we're going to do is very simple. What you're going to do is actually go ahead and make sure that we have our virtual environment setup, which is already set up, and then we'll go ahead and actually set up our project that you have already done. Okay, so I mean, we're going to install our apps that you've already done. So we're going to install the to-do app in our settings, and also we're going to install and also we're going to install the CRUD, the Django Rest Framework that you have just installed in the last tutorial. So if you haven't watched the last tutorial, it's very important that you go back and check that video out. Okay, so I'll just open this, let me just change directory back into here, and then I'm simply going to open up my Visual Studio Code or open up any editor that you're comfortable using. That's up to you. So now that you have the wait for this to open. So once that you have that open, what you're going to do is first going to register our to-do list application inside of our installed apps, and also we're going to, instead of our installed apps, we're going to register our REST API. Okay, so let me just navigate into there. So in here you can see the to-do app, so I can just open it up. So this is going to be the to-do app. So let me just open up first the CRUD API, and then I'm going to open up settings. So go into your settings folder, your settings files. So instead of settings here, just give it a bit of time. Okay, that's already loaded. So if you go under installed apps, here is we're going to register our app. So let's register our apps that you have just installed. So to register our app, you're just going to say to do list dot apps dot to do. So this is to do list config. Okay, so this is how you register an app in Django. So if you want to find out more about how to register an app, you can simply go into your project, the main project, and then go into there's a folder here, go into your app, and then go into a file called apps. So if you go here, you can find these apps here, right here. So you can just copy this and then go to settings. You just say the name of your app, which is to-do list, and then .apps means you're referring to this folder, you're referring to this file, which is .apps, and then you're referring to this class inside of that. So you're referring to this class inside of this file. So you're referring to this file, this folder, you're referring to this app file, and then you're referring to this class inside of the apps file. So that's how you register your Django products, okay, your Django applications. So now that we have that set up, we can also go ahead and actually register our REST API, our REST framework that you have just installed in the last tutorial. So if you haven't installed that, go back to the last tutorial and then watch that. So to register our REST API, you just have to REST API framework. You just have to say REST API and then framework, just like that, and then that's all. Make sure that you have the semicolons there because it's a list. Okay, so you can see it's a list, so make sure that you have the semicolons right there. The columns right there. So you can see this is how you register your we have registered our to-do list app, and we've also registered our REST framework app that you have installed in the last tutorial. So yeah, that's great. So now that you have installed that, one more thing we need to do, I think we need to run the migrations to make sure our database is properly set up and configured. So I'm going to go back to my database. So I'm going to go back to my database here on my terminal, and then I'm just going to clear this. Make sure your virtual environment is activated, and make sure that you're in the root directory. So you're going to change directory, inside of your CRUD application. So you're inside here, and then you can see the main.py. Okay, that's what we want to be. That's where we want to be. So just type Python 3 and then manage.py, and then what you're going to do is you just say we're just going to say migrate. Okay, so migrate and then run the command. This is going to run the command to migrate this application, and then migrate this is going to set up your default databases and all that that Django comes with the default. So by default, Django comes with a lot of database that you need to run, you need to set up, and this if you set it up, it will be stored in db.sqlite. Okay, so now that you have run it, everything went okay. So now we are ready to go. So now that you have run our our migrations, we can also go ahead and actually go ahead and create a super user. So to create a super user is very easy. You just go Python 3 manage.py, and then you just say create super user. Okay, so super user is like the main user of the web application. It has privileges to do a lot of stuff, so it has control over the whole application. So you can think of it like an admin of a page. That's basically what a super user is. Okay, so just going to create a super user. You can create multiple super users if you want, but I'm going to create only one. I'm going to call it Prince, and I'm going to just ignore the email. I'm going to type in the password. I'm going to keep it secret, so make sure that I get right. So secret, and then my password again is secret, and then my password is too short. Okay, so let me just ignore it. You can just say yes, and then you can you can just, sorry, I type no instead of yes. Okay, so secret, and then I'm going to type again secret, and then I'm going to type yes, just to ignore that settings, and then my super user is created. So if you get an error that your password is too long, make sure that you reset your password again. But if you're comfortable with that password, you can just press yes here, and then it will allow you to create that super user. Okay, you can also provide your emails if you want, if that's the case for you. So now our super user is set up and everything is set up. Let's go ahead and try to run our application. What you're going to do is just simply type in Python 3 and then manage.py, and then say run server. Okay, run server like this, and this is going to start our development server at localhost at port 8000. So I'm going to copy this link, go into my browser, and then I'm going to paste it in there, and then paste it. So I'm going to get a new page here, and I'm going to paste it in here. So paste it there. I'm going to paste it there. So okay, I did the wrong command, so let me just navigate backwards. Okay, so let me just copy this again. I'm going to copy this link, and I'm going to navigate here, and I'm going to paste it here. So paste that, and then press enter, and you can see this is the front page of our application, right? So now and this is what you have managed to achieve in the last tutorial. So now what I'm going to do is going to activate the go to the admin page. So just type in admin, and then if you type in admin, it's going to bring you to this page. So this page, the Django has this by default, and it's already created for you. You don't have to write any code to get it. So you just type in your name here. I'm going to type in Prince, and then I'm going to type in my secret password, right? My password is simply secret, and then press login. It's going to log me in, and I'm going to be in the admin page. And in the admin page, this is where we see all the different databases and other stuff. So this is where the admin page is, right? So that's basically it for the admin page. So that's how you can work with the admin page. And if you want to see the link where the link for the admin page is, you can just go to your CRUD API. This is the main project settings, and then go to URLs, and then you can find it here. This is the admin page. So if you go to /admin, this is the page that get delivered is site.admin.url. so if you go even here, you can I think it was here. No, it's not there. Okay, so that's basically it for this part. So that's basically okay. This is the admin page right here. That's what I'm trying to find out. Yeah, this is the admin page, and you can register different models in that admin page from here. So if you create an model for this app and you want it to appear in this admin page, you have to now go and register it here. Okay, we might do that in the future. So now that's all that's set up, and everything is set up now. Great. What you want to do now is go ahead and actually go to urls.py. So I'm going to close this admin page, go to urls.py, and now we want to include our apps here. So what you're going to do is also here import include. So you just have to say include, just like that, and then here down you have to, what you have to say is path, and then you have to say you can leave it by you can leave it by default, just like this, and you can say what you want to include here is you want to include and then you want to include to do list. Make sure that's capital L, to do list .urls. So .urls. So in this folder, right, you're including this folder in here so that the person can access this this app application from this part. So this is the part where we register applications that can be accessed. And you've registered an application. Just if you go to this, if you don't type in anything, you just go to / here. It's going to go and find this folder called to-do list.url. So it's going to go into to-do list. Let me just minimize this for now. It's going to go into to-do list. So to-do list is going to go in here, and then it's going to find a .urls folder. So currently we don't have any URLs folder, so let's go ahead and create that URL folder. So just going to type in urls.py. just like that, and you press enter. So in this URL also, if you go into our URLs, our main URLs for our project, right, it's going to go, if you don't type in any search button, like if you just type in localhost at port 8000, it's going to go into to-do list.url. so to-do list.urls, that's where we register our URLs. Okay, so we register our different URLs for this specific application. So we have this specific application right here. So what I'm going to do, I'm simply going to copy some of this. I'm going to copy this, and then I'm going to bring it here, and I'm going to paste it here, and I'm going to remove the includes. So what I'm going to type in here is very simple. Instead of say going to bring this here, URL patterns, you just have to URL patterns, and then you have to say is equals to a list. So this is a list here, and inside of this list, what you're going to type in here is just very simple. You're just going to say path underscore, and then you're going to specify a route here. So we're going to go to route, and then it's going to go to / maybe you can specify something here. So this is what you're going to import in here. So you're going to go to let me just do all of this and explain to you over all of it once more time. So just go to views.py, and views.py, this will be create our different views. So let's just, yeah, so here what you have to do is you have to import we have to say from Django.http import, you're going to import the HTTP response. Okay, so down here what you're simply going to do is just going to return a HTTP response. So HTTP response, and you're going to say hello world. So that's simple, and you're going to just return this hello world application whenever a person goes to this route. And one thing is that all functions in Django must have a request, so must take an argument called the request. So you're going to pass in that argument called the request and just leave it like that. So in here, you're going to import that from Django. So you're going to say from .views, you're going to, which is this folder file here, you're going to import from views, you're going to import this will say import index, right? And then here what you're simply going to do, if a person goes to a route that's not like a simple route, it is going to return index. That's all. So let me explain to you one more time. So if a person goes in here to our app, to our main app, right, it goes to it just goes to localhost at port 8000. It's going to find this folder, it's going to go into this folder called to-do list.urls, which is going to be this. So it is going to go into this folder, and since we did not specify anything, so it is going to be an empty. So the localhost port 8000 will be removed. So what is going to come is an empty list, it's an empty string. So if it's an empty string, go to go to index, and index is coming from views. So it's going to go in here, and it's going to go to execute this function, and this function simply returns a hello world. That's basically it, how we are also working by Django. So here by the time you reach here, we're going to take the localhost at port 8000. You're going to strip it off. What is going to remain is an empty string. So if you check, if it's an empty string, go to do list.urls, which is going to come in here, and then you check. The result is the remainder that is going to come in here is an empty string. So an empty string is also checked, and it's true, it's an empty string, and it's going to go to index, and in index is simply going to return this response here. So that's basically it, how you're also working by Django. So I'm just going to exit this for now. So I'm going to press Ctrl C, and then I'm going to start that again. So let me just bring that back. So Python 3 run server. Okay, so let's go back to our front end, and then in here I'm going to simply type in nothing. So I'm going to type in nothing, and then press enter, and you can see we have hello world right here. So we have hello world being returned. That's very simple. We have hello world being returned, and that's how it's supposed to operate. So now that we have that set up, now let's go back in to application, and let's begin to do the serious stuff here. So what we're simply going to do is here, we're going to now go ahead and actually, now that we have our basic things set up, what we're going to now do is now go back and you're going to write the user registration routes. So we're going to write a route that is going to register our different users. So we're going to create a file called serializers, and in the serializer we're going to put in a function, certain function that is going to help us to register different users. Okay, let's get to it. So I'm just going to for now you can leave this here. So we can just go to do app, and then let's create a file called serializers. Okay, so let's go, let me just minimize it. So in here I'm going to create a file called serializers.py. Okay, create a file called serializers.py, and in serializers.py what you're going to do, you're going to include a certain amount of things. So you're going to say from Django.contrib.auth.models. So you're going to import the user model. So great, the user model. So the reason why we're just saying django.contrib.out.models import user model. So this is just a place where we can import the user model, and the user model, Django comes to this user model by default. That is when we created the super user, right? That super user is stored in a model called in a database called user. So that's Django create this for us by default. We don't have to create it ourselves. So we can modify it, but you don't have to create it ourselves. So what you're simply going to do is that you're going to go into that folder, and instead of that folder, what you're going to do is very simple. I'm going to create a serializer, and what a serializer is just help us to serialize our data and to serialize different things. So what you're going to do in here, you're going to create the model to serialize the user. So you're going to say from REST framework, you're going to import serializer. So you're going to go down here and then say from REST framework, you're going to import serializers. Okay, great. So now that we have that, we can go ahead and actually serialize it. So we're going to create a class called user serializer, and then what you're going to do in here, you're going to say serializer, you're going to say serializer, serializers dot model serializer, model serializer. Okay, so make sure that you inherit from model serializer. So from serializers, you're going to import from serializer, you're going to inherit from model serializer. So that's very good. So now that you're going to have this class, you're going to call it meta, and inside of this class, that's where you specify the model and the other stuff. You're going to say model, and the model is going to be of type user. It's going to be the user model. And then you're going to have the fields that are going to be displayed. So these are the fields that are going to be displayed. So we're going to say fields, and this is going to be equals to a simple tuple. So we're going to pass in a tuple, and the tuple is going to have this parameter. So it's going to have username. So for a person to register, we want a username, and then we also want their password, and then we also want their email. Okay, their email as well. So you want their email, so email, and then you pass in email like that. So that's basically it for to register a user. We're going to take in their password, and we're going to take in their username and their email, their username, their password, and then their email. So you can also have password 2 here. I believe it. I can just try this out. I'm not really sure. What you can do here, I think it's called password 2. I believe it's called password 2, but we'll try, and then if it fails, we can go ahead and actually research. But I think it's called password 2 in case you want them to confirm their password, like to type their password twice to make sure that it matches before they submit to the database, right? So that's the fields that you're going to provide, and you're going to pass in an extra. I'm going to pass in extra quirks, so extra keyword arguments. So extra quirks is going to be a list. So the list is going to be going to pass in this. So we're going to say password, and then you're going to say password, and then you're going to say it's going to be of type here. We're going to pass in a dictionary, and then a dictionary is going to be sorry, this is actually a dictionary. It's a dictionary, so yeah, that's why this syntax looks a bit strange. Yeah, so it's going to be a dictionary. This is a key, and then this has a value of a dictionary again, and which is going to be write underscore only. Means you're only allowed users to write passwords only, and then you're going to set that to be true. That's basically it. So you're going to say as password, and then write only, and write only is going to be true, and this is a dictionary instead of a dictionary. Okay, so pay attention to that. So now that we have the basic meta field setup, let's go ahead and write the function to create the actual user. So we're going to say create, and then you're going to take in all of these arguments, so it auto completes for me. So we're going to take in the username. It has this create data, and then we're going to modify this just in a second. So for now, just ignore this, and then what you're going to do here, you're going to say password, and then you're going to say that validate data dot pop. You're going to pop the password field. So you're going to pop up the password just like that, and then you're going to now go ahead and actually get the user. So you're going to get user equals to user, and then you're going to register that user. So we're going to pass in all that validated data right there. Yeah, that's basically it, and then you're going to pass in the user.set underscore password, and this is going to set the user's password. You're simply going to pass in the password, which is a password that you are provided, the user is going to provide here. So it's going to be in here, and you have just popped it up and stored it in here, and you're simply passing it in here. So now that you have it, you can go ahead and just say user.save that user, and then you're simply going to return to the user. Means that you already registered the user. So I'm going to return a dictionary to user. I'm going to say the following username, and then the username is going to be the following. It's going to be user.username, and then you're going to pass in email, and then the email is going to be user.email. So I'm just email. So email, and here we have messed up with the spelling of email, so this is email. Okay, so okay, make sure I got that wrong, so let me make sure I get that right this time around. So email, so yeah, that's basically it. So you're going to return to a user their password and then their username and then their email. Now this is just something that I'm returning to a user. Maybe you can return something, maybe you can say message user, you can say user successfully created or something like that. Okay, you can feel free to return anything you want, but I'm just going to return the username and their email. That's all, to tell the user that they have been registered. Or you can return a message telling the user, hey, you have been successfully registered or something like that. But for me, this is what I'm going to do, and simply return this to the user. So that's all we're going to do in terms of serialization, serializing our data. And so now that we have our data serialized, what do we need to do? So what we need to do right now is you can go back to the documentation here, and then you can check what you're going to do. So what you're going to simply do is very, very simple. So you're going to now create a route, a view that is going to return this create user form. Okay, so I'm going to go to here, and then you're going to, I can delete this for now since we don't need it. So I'm going to go here, and then create a class. I'm going to create a class, and this class is going to be called user create, and then it's going to inherit from generics. So I'm going to import generics from here. So let me just delete this for now, and then I'm going to say from Django, from this is actually from REST framework. So from REST framework, import generics. So we're going to import generics, and then here we're going to say generics dot this is going to be called create API view. So, and then what you're going to do here is just going to pass in the following. So query set, make sure that you pass in query set, and then the query set, make sure I get that query set. Yeah, that's the spelling. And then you're going to pass in you're going to pass in the user model. So you need to import the user model from the back end again. So we're going to say go from Django.contrib out. It's going to be out.models. You're going to be importing it's going to be importing the user model. So we're going to pass in here the query set is going to be from the user model. It's going to be user.objects all. So we're going to get all users from there, and then what you're going to do, we're going to pass in our serializers, our serializer class. Our serializer class is going to be the class that you've just created inside of the serializer file here. So we're going to import this class. We're going to import this class in here. So we're going to go ahead and say that from .serializers, we're going to be importing this class, which is going to be the user class. So we're going to now pass in the user serializing here, and you're going to pass it in. That's all. And you're going to pass in permissions. So we're going to import permissions. This is permissions to allow certain arguments so that the user cannot perform certain functions, like just to control the user and put a restriction in the users to make sure the user does something that is allowed according to our application, right? So we're going to import this from REST framework. You're going to go ahead and actually .permissions. We're going to go ahead and actually import allow any. So we're going to allow anyone to have access to this, and you're going to pass in here allow any. That's all. And it's a tuple, so this is a tuple. To make it a tuple, you have to simply pass in this here, or else it won't be a tuple, and then you get an error. So make sure that you pass in a tuple and then a comma here to make it an actual tuple. So that's all we need for us to be able to register our users. So this is going to be the view or the route that the users are going to go to, and this is going to be, this is a class-based view. So this is a class-based view, and what you have seen previously with the index is called a function-based view, and this is called a class-based view. So I hope all that you get that right. So there's a class-based view, and there are there's also function-based. There are function-based views and there are class-based views rather. And what you have used with the index is called a class-based view, and which return hello world and then blah blah. That's just a class function-based view, and this is what is called a class-based view in Django. So I hope that is correct. That is okay with you guys. So now that we are done that, so instead of returning view which you don't have anymore, we're going to go ahead and actually import this function right here. So I'm going to bring this, and you're going to import this function right here. So just going to come in here and then pass that function right there. So what you're going to pass in here, you're going to pass in that function, and you're going to pass in dot as and then underscore view, and then pass in like that. So then you can also specify the name if you want, and you can say that the name can be registration or something like that, and then we can specify the route to go to in order to get this registration. So you can just registration and then /. So that's how you specify route. So if a user goes to registration, if it goes to localhost at port 8000/registration, it's going to get directed in here, and in here, when it gets directed in here, it's going to go to this function called this class called create user, which is going to execute this function here, and it's going to execute this class here and these parameters that you have provided in here. Okay, that's basically it, and I've just given it a name that you can use to identify it in our application. That's all. So I'm going to go ahead and save that, and then I'm going to go back to my my server, and the server is running. If it's not running, then make sure that you start your server again. So now that's running, so great. So now I'm just going to refresh this, and I'm going to go to you see, if you refresh, we just go to without localhost at port 8000, it gives us an error, and it tells us that we have admin and registration. So now I'm going to go to registration, so registration, and then execute that. So I get an error, password 2 is not valid. I think I got that one wrong, so I think I have to research on that. So let me just go back in here into models. So it's going to be in serializer, and then in here just let me just get rid of this password 2. I have to research before doing that, so I don't really remember clearly, but I think it was password 2. But yeah, that's fine. Let's check if the server is running. It is. So let's go ahead and actually refresh this one more time. So this is going to just bring us to this page, and where we can register our user, and then we can specify the different parameters for that specific user. So that's basically it, how to register a user and how to create a registration page. So now the only thing is left that is to try it out, right? So let's try it out. Let's try to register a user. Let's call it admin, and then you can pass in the email here. I can specify any email that I want, so I can just specify that email, and then I can go ahead and actually make the post request. So I'm going to actually make a post. Let's call it admin. Let's call it test user instead, test user, just like that. And then we can go ahead and actually make a post request, and you can see that user has been created, and what we get back here is user, and the username is test user 123, and then the user's email is this one, and this is what you have specified here in our routes here. This is what you're returning to user. That's why we have returned that specific route to the user here. So that's user registration is done. So what's left now is to now do the authentication to allow the users to be able to get access to our application, and that you're going to do it in the next video. So guys, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this tutorial so far, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my YouTube channel for more videos like this. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.